Joining us now to help separate the president's opinions from what scientific studies have found is pediatrician Dr. Edith Bracho-Sanchez. Thank you so much, doctor, for coming on. The president and Secretary Kennedy have often suggested without evidence that childhood vaccines may cause autism. What have the rigorously performed studies actually shown?
Linsey, I'm so glad we're talking about this. It has been decades and decades of studies around the world of millions of children, and vaccines simply do not cause autism. I think this is part of what was so disappointing about the press conference yesterday. I think we were waiting for new data, new science, and unfortunately what we saw was the same playbook recycled and the same pointing towards things that have been unproven, such as vaccines causing autism, Linsey.
The president has often inaccurately described vaccines children receive as horse-sized, seeming to suggest vaccines can somehow overwhelm a child's immune system. Is there any truth to this?
There is absolutely no truth to this, Linsey. And the way that I explain it to my patients in my practice is that if you take your child to the playground today, if you take the subway, as we do here in New York City, they are exposed to more antigens, which are the foreign substances that activate the immune system, than they ever would be through vaccines. So this notion that we are overwhelming a child's immune system simply is not true. And the protection that we are giving children is life-saving, Linsey.
Just yesterday, the president said, if you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol, don't give it to babies. Yet Tylenol, or acetaminophen, has long been considered to be the only safe painkiller during pregnancy for use. There have been dozens of studies on Tylenol, autism, and ADHD. And what have those studies found?
Yes, Linsey. So I have been looking at this from both a professional perspective, but also a personal one. I happen to be pregnant at the time that we are speaking today. I happened to get sick several weeks ago and opted to take Tylenol. So to tell you a little more, this link has been scrutinized for over a decade now. And what we know is that some of the studies found an association between Tylenol use and the risk of developing autism or ADHD. But, and so important to know this, it was not a causation, meaning it did not establish Tylenol as the cause. Ice cream sales go up in the summer, violent crime goes up in the summer. The two are not related by a causal link, meaning ice cream doesn't cause crime, but they are related through the heat in the summer. Tylenol does not cause autism, and that is so important for all parents out there who may already have a child with autism or expecting moms like myself who are making decisions right now based on this information, Linsey.
So there's a correlation, but it's not causal. Very important distinction to make. Conversely, is there any link between pain and high fevers and whether they can affect the neurobiological development of a child?
We know, Linsey, that a high fever in pregnancy, if it goes untreated, poses risk to both the mom and the baby. We're talking about risk of early labor, of birth defects, heart defects, neurodevelopmental defects.
Very important to hear you say that as a pediatrician and a pregnant woman. We've also been learning about the administration's attempts to fast-track the drug leucovorin to treat autism. Why this drug, and is there any evidence that it could be a treatment for autism?
Leucovorin, also known as folinic acid, is that it helps absorb folic acid into the brain. So some children with autism are thought to have issues with absorbing folic acid into the brain. And what this drug does is that it helps them do so. Now, again, some promise being shown by this drug, and super important to continue to study it, but it is not a magic pill. It would address the communication deficits in autism, but autism is more than that, right? And children with autism need personalized treatments that go beyond a simple drug, and we cannot lose perspective of that, Linsey.
Dr. Bracho-Sanchez, we thank you so much for your time and insight. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.